One of the things that Kirby Smart talked about a lot in the Peach Bowl aftermath, as well as the national championship, and even at the celebration on Saturday, was the connection between this team. And I think that really was one of the biggest reasons Georgia had so much success in 2022. I'm going to talk about that in this video. We're going to keep updating y'all on what the latest is on Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix in terms of what comes next. Um, we don't have a lot of those details yet, but we will get them to you in the near future. And I think one reason why I mean, obviously it's always difficult no matter what, but this connection between the team, the Dogs, this year has been something that's noticeable, I would say. Uh, and it particularly came through in their two tight wins, one over Missouri and one over Ohio State. But I have to say, I think the Ohio State game takes a back seat to the importance of the Missouri game for Georgia and in this year and this program and so forth. And I think it did take Kirby time to become. He is more. He is certainly talking more about connection and so forth now than he really ever has. And I think that in COVID, when COVID started at the beginning of 2020, and we really none of us knew what the future held. Generally speaking, um, that was a different time for Georgia. There had been transition at offensive coordinator. There had been, Georgia was coming off of two seasons that were not as spectacular as the 17 season. There had been some changes, and that 20 team had a lot of up and down, obviously at quarterback, um, and they were trying to find their way in a year that didn't make it easy to find your way. I mean, if you had established players, you were probably going to be in pretty good shape. Guys who had played already a lot, and I think it was emerging from the 20 season, going into 21 with the experience of the seniors in 2021. The connection thing was not. I mean, it started somewhere in that 12-month period, and it has grown since. I mean, this program obviously will be rocked by what happened with Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix, but um, I think that it's tighter than it's been in Kirby's tenure. Um, and part of that is the sort of unwavering uh, backup of Stetson. Like what I mean by that is the support from the team of Stetson. Part of that is, that this was a team that turned over so much on defense. Now we knew they were going to be good on offense. I mean, that was something many of us discussed. These guys are really going to be good on offense, and they were. The skepticism was on the defensive side of the ball, and they were not as good. They were not as good defensively, but they were still really good. And when you talk with folks who are insiders and got chances to see practices and stuff, multiple folks, you never just believe one person about a practice. Um, their consensus was that Georgia's defense would have to grow up along the way. And Kirby was saying that in August too. He was saying that hey, these guys they just don't have experience. They had to figure out along the way what this team would be like, and the Oregon game helped them with that. But I have to say, it really was the Missouri game, because the Oregon game, the offense just didn't stop scoring. And then they played South Carolina. It was the same situation. Um, they didn't play well against Kent State. I don't know why people keep bringing the Kent State game up. I mean, Georgia Georgia beat Kent State skulls in. It just took a little bit of time to do it, and 60-minute game. With Missouri, the week later, they could have lost that game. They were never really in trouble losing the Kent State game. The Missouri game, they could have lost. I mean, you're talking about a very good effort from Mizzou the whole night. The kicker was spectacular. Georgia's offense couldn't get out of its own way. You had guys like Kenny McIntosh that were hurt, Smile Munden. Obviously, Jalen Carter gets hurt. Stetson Bennett quite clearly was banged up in that game. And they were just trying to grind the game out. And I think when it gets back to the connection from this team and this program, that's the part to me, in my opinion, where Kirby has he has gotten better at that part of his coaching. He has developed himself. I don't really know how to put it. He's become a better coach on that front. Kirby's always been excellent at calling plays, at anticipating, at recruiting. And I think he always would have won a national championship. But to win it in back to back, to me, shows that there's some things he's gotten better at this part of communicating with his team and dealing with his team and growing his team. And because there's a lot of individual players on this team. Clearly there are 85 scholarship individual players on the Georgia Bulldogs, and they're not all in the same moment in their careers in college, but they they really do love each other. I mean, that it's not fake. Um, and you don't see that a lot. See that all the time, I guess you could say. And particularly from programs who really are machines. Um, I'm not I think you've seen this in the past at Alabama. I don't think you see this right now at Alabama in terms of the tightness of their program. It doesn't seem that way, but I'm not there all the time. I don't know. I mean, I get to see guys, in hallways. You get to, I mean, obviously, people in and around the program. And they're the ones who are forceful that, Kirby has gotten better at this stuff. Um, and I think in the current tragedy and what is confronting this program right now, that's going to be something that is not easy to maneuver around. I mean, it's hard to even discuss it in that term, you know? And you're talking about people that have lost their kid. So, but from the purely Machiavellian look at Georgia's how they're going to have to deal with everything they've been confronted with since they celebrated this national championship, their tightness that will matter a lot. And I've lost two close friends in my life. I have also lost, and one of them was a college teammate. I've also lost. There's also guys that I played with in college that have since passed, and it really shook Coach hard. It really hurt Coach, both of my coaches, because one was a basketball guy and one was a tennis guy, and some of it was years later. This is happening to two people inside the program right now, and you know, all of these moments and I mean, Chandler McCroy was just as important helping Kirby build this program as other people in the building. It all matters. It all adds up, and that's the part to me that um I I don't know who's tight on the team and individually and all that, but I know that this is going to be something that you just don't see a lot in college sports. When Kevin Brophy passed about 20 years ago at Georgia, that was a very difficult moment in Georgia's basketball uh, program at the time. It was tough for the university. Obviously, it was tough for the parents. And, those folks their life has been stolen from them at a very young age. We don't know what these guys and girls would be doing for they could have changed the world. So, um, I just think to me that this is a very challenging moment for Kirby, but I think that he has the legitimate building of team cohesion um, in the face of this tragedy will help them move towards a better day. They just won't ever get those folks back, you know, and that's the part, 20, 30, 40 years from now, this will always, I mean, because I think about my friends all the time. I mean, I'm too young to have lost friends. I'm 20 years older than the guys on the team. I've lost three close childhood friends of mine that were, that I met, one in elementary school, one in kindergarten, one in elementary school, and one in college. And I don't get to call them, right? I mean, and I see one of them's daughter all the time, and there's a legacy that's got to be celebrated along the way here, and Georgia will do it the right way, and Kirby will do it the right way too.